Hello, my dear ones. I wanted to do a video on the spirituality of botanicals. And we've discussed through all these years, and I've kind of woven through all these health talks and all these problems that humans are having, the understanding of you as awareness as opposed to you as using the mind to navigate in creation, as opposed to you using your emotional, what they call the astral body, to enjoy the colors and the energies of emotions, and then the physical body. And people have sought God for who knows how long, right? And then all the saints and saviors pop up here and there, from Buddha to Jesus Christ to Enoch before him, and just a whole line. Well, there are a line of female masters as well. You never can forget that. Seems like in religions today on this planet, we're all in the male principle, but the female principle is actually the love principle of the universe. It's more the alkaline principle, where the male is more the acidic principle. And so there's been civilizations ran by females all through the universes. So pretty cool stuff. But the spirituality of botanicals, you have to understand a little bit of how creation is put together. And I made this chart to give you an understanding of that. Right? And I'm showing you down here, this green is the physical universe. This is where all what you see is plants and trees and things like that. However, the tree or the herb or the fruit or whatever you're looking at or eating has another body to it called the emotional or astral body. All life does. Then there's this orange level called the causal worlds, and that is the first part of the mind where past and future is experienced. The Akashic records, blueprints, and all of that. Moving up into the blue is cosmic consciousness, pure mind. That is the powerhouse of the mind below. And this is the purple, the id, the I am. And then you move from being separate to moving into the one, and that is consciousness. The first worlds of consciousness is experienced through this being called Sat Nam. And there's only a few teachings on this planet that have experienced these levels to bring them back and discuss them. The Ekmasters have been around since time immemorial, and they've been able to get up to the Sugmad levels of those. I don't know how anyone could get to the Sugmad level of God and be able to come back. Because after the first couple of levels of pure consciousness, there's very difficult to come back if you have bodies in creation. So the colored portions are considered creation, duality, and then the yellow and the white and the gold, of course, is pure consciousness. And there's levels of that. So as a young man, I was into trying to find out who God was, and I was turned on to out-of-body experiences. Paul Twitchell talked a lot about. Matter of fact, back in the day, Eckankar was called the science of bilocation. And of course, the Air Force, we were doing it. We were doing remote viewing. In times of war, you always have psychics involved on both sides. And they do remote viewing, they call it. A lot of good conscious out-of-body travelers. Monks have been out of the body many times. It's not difficult when you realize that your physical body is just a shell of cells and two fluids with only 5 senses to it, locked into physical drama. But you notice there's an emotional part. And that's not the human body. The human body doesn't carry emotions. The astral body does. But however, every cell in your body has its astral side. Everything in this universe, physical universe, has the astral or emotional side. We call them ghosts and these blobs or whatever. We're seeing all these things. Most of the physical and the astral worlds have been coming together a lot. And so you're seeing a lot more interactions. You're finding a lot more of the travel tunnels that people or beings are traveling in, that sort of thing. So a lot more is happening as the energy of the physical world is picked up spiritually. That's why you can never go back. And so in my journey, trying to find out who the word God was or is, I went through the plant kingdom. I went back into plant life, back into trees. I experienced a lot of levels so I would know, or they would have me know what those are like. And I've talked about this the other day on a podcast with someone, and it's pretty claustrophobic. It's pretty intense. You can't go back, but you can experience and know about plants. And understand that all life has that. Well, wait a minute, all life has memory. All life has the causal world, and that's the orange. The causal is I call it the mathematical worlds, because out of your solar plexus comes mathematics of you can't even imagine. The astral is the world of color, the thousand-petal lotus. I've talked a lot about that. I used to take my students to there a lot, which is the top of the astral, the powerhouse actually of the astral and physical worlds. When you move out of the physical worlds, the colors are intense, the beauty is intense, nirvanic. Nirvanic, just experience the beauty of the energy of those worlds, even though you have an astral body. Your house that you live in has an astral side of it, has a mental side of it. Nothing can happen here in the physical world unless it passes through thought. It's got to pass through the I am, which is the individualization of the one, and then it takes on the individualized mind from the universal mind. That's the cosmic consciousness, universal mind. Holmes wrote a lot about the universal mind and his experiences. Robert Monroe has an institute it guarantees you 95% success out of the body into the astral worlds through music. The Monroe Institute is called. So there's been a lot. Jungian work has done a lot in terms of these inner worlds and their influence upon the self. So there's been a lot going on in certain circles about this. I was introduced to this book years and years ago, back in the 70s, The Secret Life of Plants. So just to give you a basic overview, and we carry this book for you because if you're unaware of these levels, you need to immerse yourself in the reality that this planet is a speck of sand on a beach of billions and billions of planets. So you just have to get with the fact that life and frequencies. How many frequencies, radio, TV, how many frequencies do you think exist just in the physical astral worlds? You couldn't even tell. And there's life on every frequency, major life in every frequency. There was a Venusian lady down here giving lectures, and she said the only reason you can't see us is the frequency differences. And she went on, talked a great deal about the Venusian lifestyle. I had ran into a Venusian society here at one time. My patients came in and was talking to me about their societies. And it's like, I can't even tell you the things that have happened to me and who I've ran into and on this journey for 53 years. Actually, it goes back longer than that because I was in the woods 2 and a half before that. So a long journey. In The Secret Life of Plants, they use voltmeters. The way I understand it, they're trying to check the electromagnetic currents of plants. And what they did is they took, in just one experiment, they took 2 plants, put them in a warehouse, and buddied them up. Then one guy came in, took one plant out of the door into another building, and pulled off one of its leaves. Well, the plant they left behind responded like crazy the minute they pulled off his leaf of the other plant in another room way over there. They're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. This plant knew his buddy was being hurt. Then when the man walked in that took the plant recognized him and went berserk. He didn't want hurt either. And it goes on and on and on, talking about the spirituality of plants. Then here a few years ago on Fox News, CNN, all these different broadcasts, they showed this lady, professor, she was a scientist, and they were talking about bomb-sniffing dogs in airports. And they said bomb-sniffing dogs in airports are only about 70-75% accurate in sniffing out and determining bomb materials. Wait for it. Her plants are 100% accurate at determining bomb materials and will change colors depending upon the type of chemical they're sensing. What? So that's the beauty of all this. Rush Limbaugh, I remember that guy. I was building a house and someone had Rush Limbaugh on, and he said, does chickens have consciousness? And I go, what? So I was listening to that. Bottom line, chickens don't have consciousness. They're just there for us to eat. You know, anybody raising chickens and have some pet chickens knows better than that. Or pet bunnies or whatever. The beauty of life, at levels you have no idea, both macro and micro. I mean, there's some sub-nano. We don't even know nano yet, let alone sub-nano. And you're talking about, I've always said, if you want to know God, you take the smallest thing, like the pin of the head of a pin, cut that in half, cut that half in half, and keep cutting those halves in halves to infinity, and you'll never find God. And the opposite is true. So one has to understand that it is everywhere. The Bible has it exactly right. Omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. The Hindu people have it exactly right. Consciousness. So there is so much out there. It's just no one's explaining it to people what these things mean, so you can apply those to learn how to experience the higher levels of what you have inside of you, not just the physical shell. If you've ever heard of Kirlian photography, I remember this was David Woof's book, although I've been studying Kirlian photography for a long time. And I wanted to get a machine here to take a look at the difference of frequencies of food before and after heat's been added to them. And the more that you process, and this is just the aura before and afterwards, of how the aura, the energy of a food is dissipated when you process or cook it, to the point of meat has zero. Raw, it's alive, because raw, it's energy, it's consciousness. Why was it formed? Why was this herb formed? And that's why I love the spirituality of herbs. I've spent so many years teaching herbology. I'd give my students 10 herbs in a class. At the beginning of a class, I said, I want you to go study them. And when you study those, we'll talk about them, and then I'm going to give you 10 more. And I'm going to give you 10 more. And pretty soon you'll have a nice repertoire of about 100 herbs. That's pretty much, because you don't need to know all of them. There's 5,000 to 10,000 botanicals, so much so that, and we talk about the jungles and getting into some of these rare herbs, so like graviola and things like that, then our FDA won't let us use them. See, so it's a sad thing, because the remedy of man is not into toxic, deadly pharmaceuticals. That's an allopathic. There should be controls, and pharmaceutical companies trying to get toxic-free pharmaceuticals are very difficult. There's only two sides to chemistry, and you've got to play within that matrix. The acids dehydrate, and the alkalis hydrate. Your alkalis are electron-rich, the acids are proton-rich. And it's just understanding that simple difference between the two. Acids act differently than alkalis. Of course they do. But the acid side of life is the final side of life to life here. The breakdown of tissue and the tearing apart of the connecting structures so we can get to the atoms again. Remember, this is an already created universe. Hard to understand that when everything seems to be new. But you've had deja vu experiences before, because you already knew before you got here. You already experienced it. I'm here to tell you. This is already created. We're just moving atoms around here. It's an atom rearrangement scenario. We don't get new atoms. And when the body dies, it doesn't kill atoms, of course. It simply allows for rearrangement of that and the chemistry of it. So there's been some incredible research around plants and the awareness that plants have. The fact that they identify you. You've always heard of the green thumb scenario. Yeah, those that love plants get the love back. You know, I have gardens everywhere, and I put crystals all around my plants, and they go, whoa! I had a a wax tree. I don't know how to pronounce that so much, but there was two of them. They were two together. And so I had a shaman friend of mine, Micah, come down, and we put a nice little energetic crystal and other gems around that. I had to cut one of them down, off. It got so big, it was up into the power wires. It's like, oh no. It's just like life loves love. Life is perpetrated by energy and conscious awareness. And so just remember, conscious awareness, your awareness, that which is the I am comes up here. This is all just creation from here down, creation. Duality. But duality means you get a body to experience with, and you got different levels to experience with. Why wouldn't you? When you're talking of something with the use of God, even the word God defines something, and you can't define that which is undefinable. You can't define the infinite. The mind wants to define it. It wants to grab a hold so it can understand it, because the mind does not consciousness. It's a computer. And it's like the AI. It's got to have comparisons. It's got to be able to rationalize. It's got to be able to do that. And the emotional side then kicks the mind and kicks the thoughts. So it becomes quite a package of karma and of kinetic energy, because everything is kinetic. There is nothing that does not have life and awareness. Even gemstones, the rocks, there's nothing here on this planet that doesn't have its counterpart in the astral world and the mental worlds. And so if you change your viewpoint from working from a limited physical experience and you work from awareness, which means you have to learn how to stop thinking and only use it when you need it, you will shift your awareness from the divine into creation, as opposed from the little self into what? Trying to find the answer of truth? See, there's an old saying I've said for years: the seeker of God never finds God. Because it's ever present always. You don't have to seek it. You are it. And that's the point. Is once you strip away these bodies, who's the last one standing? Everything. So the spirituality of plants, and I have spent years getting into plants, into their consciousness, understanding what they do, what parts of the body you're here to work on. And when I make formulas, I get into these formulas and in the herbs and the formulas, and I want to know how you guys like each other. I always know when there's an herb in a formula that shouldn't be there, because it tells me, because I listen. And that's the one thing is really important. Start listening. When you're working with botanicals, listen to what they have to say to you. You can research all you want, but be careful, because copycat herbology is literally everywhere. And then you've got herbalists that have no clinical experience or very little. So a lot of the herbal information out there is just flatly wrong, especially against a lot of the really good herbs like bloodroot and pokeroot. Chaparral is another one they hate. You know, these sort of things. These are your power herbs. But if you look at botanicals as your source of help to get into the body and make the liver perform better, make the heart perform better, make your nerves perform better. These herbs are in there for body parts. They're in for consciousness. And they move into the consciousness of these cells and uplift them. Because by the time you get to the need of a botanical, your body you brought down pretty good. You've acidified it and brought the body down into some of its lower levels of performance. Well, the herbs are about performing, and that's why our new lab seeks out the best level of these herbs it can. There's a lot of checking and cross-checking in terms of the proper genetic codes of the herbs we're using. There's all kinds of things that this lab is doing that I'm just so impressed with and just really excited on this new line. It's just another level of thinking in terms of formulas and their effect upon the body. So remember, the spirituality of botanicals, love them, hug them, because that's what they're going to do to you. They're going to love you and hug you. Now, with homeopathy, basically you're trying to keep that essence by eliminating the physical body of it, but keeping the essence and consciousness of it. And I can't say that's always real possible, but I think in homeopathy does a really good job, especially if you're a good homeopathist, you're an older person, you've been around making your formulas for a while, you're going to understand the power of awareness, the power of energy, and the power of the essence of. But in reality, I love the physical chemistry and the energy that comes out of these herbs because it's unique. Each herb is unique for you and your body, and what all can it do for you. I've never seen one herb that just does one thing. I remember when they found out lobelia was a hemostat, somebody hurt themselves at one of Dr. Christopher's seminars. And Dr. Christopher said, anybody got a hemostat on them? And no. Someone said, well, I got lobelia. And he said, well, that's not a hemostat, but let's try it. And they did, and of course it stopped the bleeding immediately. So you never know the beauty of these levels and the power of these. That's why I always like to treat my botanicals, all my plants, with respect, because they love you back. Your fruit trees, I have a ton of fruit trees. I love my fruit trees. And the fruit I get off of them, loving me back, baby. So the spirituality of something is a broader viewpoint of it, understanding more of the energy and consciousness of something. Spirituality isn't a negative thing, it's a positive thing. It means you're looking away from the conditioned mind, the conditioned life, and taking a look at what else exists around. But the spirituality of herbs is amazing. And never be afraid to use a great herbal formula. Muscle test. Always muscle test herbs if you want. That way you know if there's herbs that your body doesn't want or a formula. Maybe your body doesn't want that formula right now. Maybe it'll be a year before you can even use it. And maybe there's something in there your body flatly cannot use. And that's another hiccup that you might find, where I find these formulas very harmonious and loving. You might have a lymphatic stagnation of chemistry that interferes with your body loving that particular herb or something. So but as you clean your body out, then it accepts herbs a lot better for sure, especially the tough ones. But I've just seen so many miracles when you use botanicals, it's not even funny. If you're facing just using the diet, okay, it's going to take you a while. But when you add botanicals in there, I just did the diet, and I was totally amazed at how I was doing as a fruitarian. I just can't even tell you the level of awareness I had, and I didn't even know I had a body. It worked so well. It never bled when I cut it. I mean, it was just amazing how at the level the human body can get. That's why I'd like to see this world get into this and see what level can the Homo sapien achieve now that a lot of them understand that they're frugivores. Not always easy to change your diet, and man will probably never in any generation coming soon see that level of energy or health, but it's coming. And that's if we don't destroy ourselves here. But enjoy these herbs. I am so proud of this new line and the power that this new line has for you to help you regenerate tissue in the human body. And once you learn your systems, you learn basically what you're going after, the lymphatic system, you're learning all of this, it all just fits together. And then it's like, you just do it. You don't have to labor over it. You don't want to labor over anything, self-discipline, but I grew up with discipline. So I have good, strong self-discipline. If I want to go on a water fast for 3 months, I'll do it. So it just, but sometimes it takes, okay, yeah, and then do it, right? And so enjoy your life of doing it with botanicals. And feel the beauty. Listen inwardly. Too many people are focused outwardly. Start focusing inwardly. Feel that innerness of these herbs. What are they telling you? What's the power of that herb? And don't get confused by reading about it, because 10 different herb books can touch similarly, and some of them just flatly repeat each other. But like the European monograms and things like that, some of that crap's flatly wrong, guys. I'm sorry. I don't listen to anybody out there, because I've been 53 years with herbs. I know them. I know them like no one else knows them. So I don't listen to people out there talk about these different herbs and stuff unless you are individually aware of each herb and its consciousness and being able to communicate with that. You're just copycatting stuff. And there's so much wrong, like Cascara Sagrada and all these things, like so much wrong information out there. People buy into that. I see a lot of herbalists buying into that crap. And remember, you're hitchhiking a botanical protocol with your diet. Your diet is essential. That starts the hydration/detoxification process. Essential to move to a raw food diet. If you can't use all fruit and berries, okay, use your vegetables. But remember, we're not herbivores, and a herbivore is a lot further away, in my opinion, even though gentle beasts, for the most part, are further away in their dynamics of physiology and anatomy than the omnivore. So it's just one of those things, but keep in mind, humans are frugivores through and through. We can stand some omnivorish, but at this point, the human cell is degraded so bad, the lymphatic systems are so bad, these kids are definitely in the process of ending civilization. So we're in the process of regeneration. And botanicals sit right on the front dining room table at Regeneration. What else does? Our fruit, as people have said, have been hybrided down. Our foods are, grains. What's healthy about grains? Beans. Health food people go, vegetarians, I don't eat the meat, but I'll eat the beans and grains. Really? I mean, they're all acid-ash foods. Nothing healthy about them. You want raw, living presence because you have the consciousness, you have the energetics of each constituent in there. The colloids, everything in there is the power. The salts, all these have a unique power on the tissues of your body, which are cells. So enjoy our new line of formulas. I think you will super enjoy them. Love you, and thanks for visiting our site.